would like to welcome for this occasion President Faust, Provost Hyman, Dean Elwood from the Harvard Kennedy School, Dean Flyer from Harvard Medical School, Provost Hyman, if I didn't say that before, Ed Forst, who's Executive Vice President for the university, and Tamara Rogers, who's Vice President for Development, and to each and every one of you who've come for this occasion. It is wonderful to see so many people from this community coming to welcome our Dean Designate. For me, it's a very exciting occasion to be able to celebrate the return of Julio Frenk and his wife, Felicia Knoll, who we're pleased is here, to the School of Public Health, where Julio was a fellow at the Center for Population and Development, and his wife is also from Harvard. And Julio, as many of you know, or will have known, was, I think, the only commencement speaker who spoke twice in the history of the School of Public Health. And I also want to express my deep appreciation to President Faust for her wisdom in appointing Julio as the next Dean of the School of Public Health. I've known Julio for, I think, over 20 years, and I have absolute confidence that he will bring great vision, a special graciousness, and an exceptional leadership to the school and to the university. In his very first meeting as a member of the Institute of Medicine Board on Global Health in the early 1990s, that was chaired by former Dean Harvey Feinberg and yours truly, we sat down, and before we could get any business done, Julio raised his hand and said, I think we should change the name of the board on international health to global health. And we were totally puzzled. What's the difference? Why would anybody care what the name was? He then, for the first time, I think, for any of us, which was later published in a report from the IOM, defined global health, which is now widely used as health problems and issues and concerns that transcend national boundaries and may best be addressed by cooperative action. I think that's a reflection of his visionary spirit and his understanding of the need for cooperative action in every arena in which he has engaged and motivated people. It's been a long time since, but I'm pleased to say that the old Department of Population and International Health at the Harvard School of Public Health this year changed its name to Global Health and Development. There are a few things that I'm pleased to be able to represent to Julio as he begins learning about the School of Public Health. That he will take over a school that is in a strong financial position. He will take over a place that is at the cutting edge of a very wide range of scientific developments in public health. That the quality of our students and our staff and our faculty, that is you, is absolutely outstanding in competence and in dedication, and that beyond the diversity of the place, there's a deep and shared commitment to improving the health of all people, and particularly the poor and disadvantaged in this country and abroad. He will stand on a platform to build upon, and I am a strong platform, and I am very confident he will take the school to new heights. And it is absolutely certain that there will be no end to public health challenges that he and the school will take on. Finally, I look forward eagerly to taking up my role in January as a collegial member of this community on the 9th floor of Building 1, to be precise, and to be as supportive as I can to the new dean and his administration, but with a full appreciation that in January, the leadership of the school will have passed to a new and profoundly capable set of hands. It is now my special pleasure to introduce to many of you for the first time in this community, the president of Harvard University and the Lincoln Professor of History, Drew Faust. who will introduce the Dean Designate, Julio Frenk. Let me just say that she's an outstanding historian, particularly of the American Civil War, who prior to becoming president was the founding dean of the Radcliffe Institute for Advanced Studies. She was a wonderful colleague for all of us on the Council of Deans for many years, and has written an absolutely superb book, which I saw her signing in the back, called The Republic of Suffering, Death, and the American Civil War. That book vividly illustrates and relates the horrors of that war and its impact on families. After watching the political conventions of the last 2 weeks, I must say that it would be very hard to believe that such a beautifully written and scholarly book could also be a bestseller in this country, but it is. In a profound sense, the book is also about public health and the lack of it in that tragic war, and more generally in all wars, that reflects a remarkable appreciation of the importance of what public health can and must contribute to society. Drew, thank you for coming.
It's a great pleasure to be here and to be able to enact a Harvard tradition, which is with the appointment of a new dean, the president comes and officially presents that dean to the community. And as I look out on all these eager faces, I realize how exciting a day this is for all of you, as it is for me. I want to begin, though, with thanks, and those thanks are to Barry. He has led this school with distinction through a decade of growth and change. He leaves his successor in a remarkably strong position and with a very tough act to follow. I'm proud, Barry, to have been your colleague on the Council of Deans for 10 years and to have benefited so much from your wisdom as we talked about our comparable and contrasting challenges through the years, and as we watched a lot of change at Harvard as well. I'm going to miss you a lot, Barry, but I'm very glad to know you're going to be on the 9th floor, and so you should expect some visitors. And I hope that you won't spend all your time at Longwood. You'll come back and you'll visit in Mass Hall as well. So please join me in thanking Barry for his wonderful contribution. And I was going to say all that even before he plugged my book. The search for a new dean of the School of Public Health has given me a marvelous opportunity to get to know the school better and to get to know a number of you far better. In the course of the search, I had the privilege of meeting with staff, with faculty, with students, and we had a search advisory committee of faculty that was a steady and wise presence through the whole search. So I want to thank you all for the wisdom you imparted to me, and I want to especially thank the members of the search committee, many of whom I've seen here today, for all their advice and their hard work in coming to the wonderful conclusion that we are here to celebrate together. Now, as some of you have heard me say before, I regard this as a very special moment for public health, and I mean that in two ways. I mean it public health as a field, and I mean it as for public health as the school at Harvard. Here you embody one of Harvard's best examples of genuine interdisciplinary cooperation, with programs that bring together the biological sciences, the quantitative sciences, the social sciences in very powerful ways. So as many of us at Harvard try to be more interdisciplinary, to reach across fields, to reach across intellectual boundaries, we have you and the field of public health more generally as a model for us in this undertaking. You are also in the forefront of our efforts to reach out internationally, another strong commitment for the university, and to connect education and scholarly inquiry with everyday, real-world problems. I see how more and more schools and faculties and groups of students are eager to interact with you. And so you are coming to play an increasingly central part in all we do And we're all making many more demands on you all the time, and that's something that Julio is going to have to manage and I hope celebrate. I think also that more and more people elsewhere recognize how so much of what you do is central to the problems of the world. The subjects you address are in the newspapers, on the front pages every day. Your work is essential to improving the world around us, and is essential also to modeling how knowledge, inquiry, research matter and why they matter in how we all live our lives. So at such a moment, it's especially exciting to welcome a new dean who can take up all these challenges so effectively. He's a person who blends academics and practice. He's a person who is expert in thinking across disciplines to solve real-world problems. He's a person whose vision extends from the local to the national to the global and transfers across those boundaries with enormous ease. So this is a person who is going to be able to bring this school and this field to even greater heights of achievement, and also will enable all of us to do more in meeting the enormous challenges of health for world populations, especially for people most in need. Now, by now, I think you are mostly familiar with his impressive resume. In Mexico, where he held a number of distinguished posts, including Minister of Health at the WHO, in the global community of public health leaders. And so I'm not going to recite his resume again here for you today. Instead, I wanted to share something else, something that you all haven't known yet about Julio. He's probably getting embarrassed and anxious right now. What I'd like to do is just give you a bit of the flavor of the comments that people made in the course of the search, comments that made him such a powerful and obvious choice for us. So let me just read you a few of the things that individuals said about him. He has a strong record as an academic. He has enormous stature in public health. He knows the worlds of both science and policy. He is, in a sense, a great Enlightenment intellectual who believes that we can and must bring evidence and science into decision-making. That was one. Let me read another. He is a visionary, a leader, a consensus builder, someone who has the deepest respect of the public health arena worldwide. He's intellectually exciting and a dazzling communicator. Someone else said, he has qualities of leadership that are unequaled in his field. Another person said, he's a profound thinker, someone who can inspire people. Another person said, he is effective, rigorous, and always mindful of substance. What's so impressive is his rigorous humanitarianism. I love that phrase, his rigorous humanitarianism. So Julio, as you can see, you arrive here with the enthusiastic support of so many admirers and with the highest of hopes for all you can accomplish with us. So today we welcome you and we commit ourselves to supporting you and to doing all we can to make your deanship an enormous success. So, School of Public Health, I present to you your new dean, the rigorous humanitarian, Julio Frenk.
Very much, and good afternoon to everyone. The most gratifying of duties is to be grateful. And I would like my first words as Dean Designate to be a fulfillment of this duty. First of all, I would like to thank Faust. Like is so common in the academic world, my first contact with her came through the written word, when I read her splendid inaugural address as Harvard president. I was immediately inspired by her vision, and this inspiration grew through our successive face-to-face meetings. thank you, Drew, for the great honor you have bestowed on me by appointing me as the Dean of the Harvard School of Public Health. Second, I thank Steve Hyman for his encouragement and orientation through the selection process, which I know will continue through the transition period and during my service as Dean. Third, I would like to express my gratitude to Barry Bloom. Barry has been a friend of many years and a colleague in many causes. I cannot thank you enough, Barry, for your constant advice and also for agreeing to stay on until the end of the year, thus facilitating my transition. Most of all, thank you for your distinguished service as Dean. You have built a rich legacy that will make my job so much easier, as it became clear to me when I read your marvelous letter to your successor. I feel immensely fortunate to arrive at such a strong school, both in academic and financial terms. I would also like to thank the members of the Search Advisory Group for their valuable contribution to the selection process. More broadly, I acknowledge all the members of the School of Public Health faculty and their collaborators throughout the university, because it's been your talent and commitment that has brought the school to the distinguished place it now occupies. The list of seminal contributions that this school has made to public health has few parallels in the world. My thanks also go to the dedicated staff members of the school who make our mission possible, to the students who represent such a critical part of that mission, and to the wide network of distinguished alumni and donors who do so much to support the school. As you can see, I have many persons to thank for this, my most recent interaction with Harvard. But I must say that my debt of gratitude towards this university goes back many, many years. Something very few of you know is that I was almost born in Boston. Yes, my father was a fellow at the Children's Hospital, while my twin sister and I were enjoying the comfort of embryonic life. The amazing coincidence, believe it or not, is that he did his experimental work in a laboratory located no less than in the basement of the Harvard School of Public Health. My mother decided to deliver my twin sister and me in Mexico, not for patriotic reasons, but simply to have access to her support network. We came back to Boston when my sister and I were 3 months old, and we spent the rest of our first year of life in this marvelous city. It may be, very well be, that this early imprinting explains why I keep returning to Boston. Now, without going quite so back into prehistory, the fact is that truly many, many crucial dimensions of my adult life have had a connection to Harvard. My mentor, Abedis Donavidian, who taught me the love of scholarship, was a Harvard graduate. One of the most inspiring persons I have ever worked with, Gro Brundtland, is a distinguished alumna. I even married a Harvard graduate. My dear wife, Felicia, who's here, developed academically here under the mentorship of Amartya Sen. More specifically, my relationship to the Harvard School of Public Health has been extremely enriching for me. In addition to Barry, I have had the privilege of interacting closely with the 2 other living deans of the school, Howard Hyatt and Harvey Feinberg. Indeed, this school has been a constant presence in every major cycle of my professional life. As early as 1984, when I had just finished my graduate studies and had returned to Mexico to start what in time would become the National Institute of Public Health, Jaime Sepúlveda, another distinguished alumnus, introduced me to Harvey Feinberg, who had just been appointed dean. It was the right encounter at the right time. I must have caught Harvey off guard, but the fact is that he accepted my invitation to join an international advisory committee for a still non-existent institute. With an amazing degree of generosity, he devoted 7 years of creative advice that laid the foundation for one of the most enriching academic relationships I have ever witnessed. The institute is now, I can say with pride, the leading center of research and higher learning in public health in the developing world. And I believe this is an example of the role of Harvard in building capacity in the developed world without creating dependence, quite on the contrary, empowering researchers and analysts and teachers and practitioners with its own talent. And many, many of you in this room have been key figures in this exchange. Then when I finished my term as director of the Institute in 1992, it was only natural for me to open a new cycle by taking a sabbatical year at the Center for Population and Development Studies. This was one of the most productive periods of my life, yielding many books and papers, many friendships, and also the design of a comprehensive policy review that would be the basis of an evidence-based reform in Mexico. When I became Minister of Health in 2000, I had the opportunity to apply those methods in the design and implementation of a major health system reform that was subject to a rigorous evaluation by a team of top researchers, naturally from Harvard. When that professional cycle ended, as I finished my term as minister in December of 2006, my very first opportunity to speak in public was the invitation by Barry Bloom to deliver a lecture in this very same place. On that occasion, I said that after 6 years in the battlefields of policy design and implementation, I was returning to this temple of higher learning in a pilgrimage of gratitude. And now, here I am, at the beginning of a new cycle, one that will take my relationship with the school to new levels. It is my good fortune that my service as dean will now give me the opportunity to pay back at least part of all that I have received from this great school and this great university. How do I intend to do so? My first duty will be to listen, starting right now with the transition period. Throughout the fall, I plan to spend at the school several days every month in order to better prepare myself before I take office as dean on January of next year. I can hardly wait to start the job full-time, but these intervening months will help me to understand your concerns and aspirations, and also to begin to develop close collaborative relationships with other parts of the university. In this respect, I thank the deans of other faculties who accompany us at this reception. The transition period will also serve to articulate the vision that will guide my deanship. Let me, however, already share with you a very broad outline of some of my initial ideas, many of which have evolved over my career in public health, and most of which will be shaped and sharpened by my interaction with you. If there is one key word that I can use to characterize that vision, that word is integration. I have always seen public health as a crossroads where multiple dimensions intersect: biology and society, individual and population, science and scholarship, evidence and ethics, analysis and action, the local and the global, excellence and relevance. The main challenge to public health is to avoid false dichotomies or divisive reductionisms, and instead fully embrace its wealth of disciplines and perspectives in an integrative framework. This in no way denies the importance of specialization and analytical depth, but it does challenge us with the need to build integrative bridges that better allow us to understand and act upon the complexity of health conditions and systems. The Harvard School of Public Health is already distinguished by its comprehensive reach. Few other schools have similar laboratory capacity to conduct cutting-edge biomedical research while at the same time excelling, as our school does, in the quantitative and population disciplines, as well as the social, behavioral, and policy science, as Faust just mentioned. I fully intend to strengthen this extraordinary research capacity. Few other schools have been as successful as ours in translating rigorous analysis into major policy initiatives, as demonstrated, among many other examples, by the admirable work on tobacco control. I am fully committed to this topic in particular, and more generally, to the irreplaceable role of the university in the development of a scientific foundation for public policy. Such a role becomes even more prominent in moments of political transition like the one the United States is undergoing now. The school is also recognized worldwide because of the quality of its educational mission. Its alumni are prominent leaders in research, education, policy, and practice, thus multiplying the school's influence. Continuing to attract the most talented students from all over the world will be a top priority for me. And this leads me to underscore another strong point of the school, namely the creative way in which it has been able to combine a truly global outlook with its excellent work around the most important health issues on the domestic agenda. Of course, there ought to be no dichotomy between the global and the domestic levels. Global health should not be taken to mean foreign health. Instead, its key notion is interdependence among all populations in the world, which is generating new challenges and opportunities. Salient among the latter is the potential for shared learning across countries of the type that a world-class university like Harvard can help to systematize and disseminate. All of these sources of strength in the current work of the school offer a firm foundation for progress, which could not come at a better time. Public health is at the threshold of a new era, fueled by 4 simultaneous revolutions: in the life sciences, in the information and communication technologies, in systems thinking allow us to comprehend and transform complexity, and last but certainly not least, what Michael Ignatieff, formerly at the Kennedy School, has called the rights revolution, which provides the ethical foundation for so much of our work in public health. There is no other school in the world that is as well positioned as ours to lead this new era of public health. In addition to all the strong points I have already mentioned, the prospect of a new campus in Allston offers the once-in-a-generation opportunity to design and literally build an innovative space, both physical and academic, for what public health should be in the 21st century. I fully share the position of the President and the Provost in the sense of assuring that the development of this strategic project will be responsive to all concerns, perspectives, and expectations, so that we may carry forth a proposal that will be at once sustainable and transformational. Even as the planning for a new material construction continues, let us keep building the multiple intellectual bridges that integration requires. Bridges to the medical school, thank you, Jeff, for your presence, and the affiliated hospitals, so we may fully take advantage of synergies and complementarities. Bridges to the other faculties, thank you, David, so we may enrich public health with the wealth of academic resources that sets this university apart from others. Bridges to the whole world so that we may continue generating knowledge as the ultimate global public good. Bridges to the past and the future so that we may be accountable to both, as Drew Faust beautifully put it in her inaugural speech. Bridges to the realm of policy and practice so that we continue to make science and scholarship the enlightened forces for purposeful social transformation. It is this belief in the power of disciplined creativity and rigorous evidence. I will add now disciplined humanitarianism as well. But it is my belief that science and scholarship really represent the enlightened forces to guide social transformation that has provided the unifying point for all the previous positions I have taken in my previous career. And it is this belief that brings me here with you today. Let me reiterate my eagerness to listen closely to the entire community, faculty, staff, students, alumni, donors, in order to learn more about your aspirations and vision for the school. As I join this community, I am fully aware of the heritage of excellence that I am privileged to receive. I can set no higher goal for myself than to be a worthy successor to the previous deans of the Harvard School of Public Health. I can find no challenge more inspiring than to become a commendable companion to the men and women who have made Harvard the great institution it is today. Standing firmly on this outstanding platform of past and present achievements, I shall always strive to be a reliable steward of the future legacy that we will build together. Thank you very much for listening.
Now, after those eloquent eloquent and beautiful remarks for a bit of anticlimax. I was supposed to end with a toast, and unfortunately in this school I know I'm supposed to have a moderate amount of red wine every day. I will assure you I've already had plenty of black coffee and some dark chocolate, but it's just a bit early for me, so forgive me on the wine. Before toasting, and some of you will have to do it, I see metaphorically, without glasses, our new Dean Designate, I just want to very briefly add my thanks to Dean Bloom. I will absolutely miss our monthly meetings and will find devious ways of springing you from the 9th floor. A special thanks to Felicia Knoll, who is in her own right a wonderful and important scholar who we are privileged to be bringing to Harvard, and whose willingness to move, after all, makes all of this possible. And then finally, a toast to Julio. President Faust read all of the really eloquent remarks, or actually a selection of them that were made in the search. In every search, one says at the end about the person selected, everybody said, there's really only one person to get, but you'll never get him. And in this case, it's actually true. That is, almost everyone we spoke to said, there's really one person you should get, but you'll never get him. But I think to echo his remarks, drawn really by the excellence of this school and by its promise in this age of public health, we were able to attract Julio Frenk here. Julio, I toast you, I toast the school, its faculty, its students and staff, and look forward to enormous success in the coming years. So to you.